Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Archie. Yes, you read that right. I made 62,000 US dollars in 1 week of trading, and I'm here to share the story with you. Uh, Spoiler, I didn't do any YOLO calls, I didn't do any YOLO trades, I didn't all go all in on any of the trades. I actually maintained a very balanced portfolio throughout, very well diversified. And so I know what you must be thinking. This guy's about to sell me some courses. This guy's gonna ask me to join his Discord group. This guy, just gonna claim to be some sort of stock market guru. None of that is the case. I'm not claiming to be any stock market guru. I am not. I don't have any courses. I don't intend on making any courses in the foreseeable future. I am just here to share the story of how I made $62,000. So I want to begin the story by explaining a little bit of background in Chinese stocks, and I want to begin by talking about Alibaba. So Alibaba is this stock. It's the largest, I think, or one of the largest Chinese public traded companies in the world in terms of market cap and revenue and all that stuff. So it actually began trading September 2014, and I have a vivid memory of this. This is another story for another day, but I was in the hospital, on the hospital bed when that happened. And I remember vividly, like just getting my phone and like telling the nurse, like, "Oh no, I gotta buy, I gotta be buying Alibaba stocks. Like, I gotta be making money." So, probably just bought it and then, like trimmed, added, whatever you name it, but really held my Alibaba stock all the way through basically November of 2020. And November 2020, the Ant Financial crisis happened. And for those of you who follow Chinese stocks, you know Ant Financial, you know Ant Financials. Ant Financial was this very disruptive, innovative fintech company that was set out to conquer the world. It was using AI and machine learning to basically automate a lot of its lending approach. It was basically lending based financial company. And long story short, the dream got too big. In China, if your dream got too big, you can be in danger. A couple of days before its IPO, the regulator decided to do an investigation into the company. So rug pulled the company, stopped the IPO process, investigated not only Ant Financials but also Jack Ma as a person, but also Alibaba. So Ant Financials is co-founded by Jack Ma and was heavily invested by Jack Ma himself and Alibaba as a company. So I think I remember I actually did a model on Ant Financials, and what I found out was that Ant Financials, if it were to grow the way that it wanted to grow, and it had been growing in the past, within 10 years, it was going to cannibalize 50%, 50% of the Chinese lending market from the existing state-owned banks. I was so bullish on Ant Financials, and I was so hurt. I was so hurt emotionally, like not financially, because I didn't own the stock. I couldn't have owned any of the stocks because I wanted to buy the moment it went public. It was going to go public in Hong Kong market, but I couldn't. I didn't have a chance to, and the opportunity was taken away from me, and I was so hurt. And I actually wrote this article on November 6th, 2020. This is my LinkedIn. You can add me on LinkedIn if you want. Why I sold my Alibaba stocks. I said I sold my long held Alibaba stocks from my portfolio. I sell stocks all the time. Why did I take time to explain this one? The reason was honestly I really don't like government, putting their hand into how private business should be operating. Government should be facilitating. I'm of the belief that government should be small and should be facilitating free markets. Should have people, companies do what they do best. And if you are bad, if like taxis, this business doesn't really make a lot of sense. That's why Uber was a thing, right? So the state-owned banks were not doing lending properly. If they were doing lending correctly, and Financial would have never been started in the first place. So why do you protect the status quo even though they're more inefficient? So it really bothered me a lot. I actually sold all my Alibaba stocks. And time proved that I was right. I sold around. I remember there was a day that it went down 10%, and I sold that day. And a lot of my fellow friends who also invest, they were like, "Ah, Archie, you're so stupid. Like, why do you sell Alibaba stock? These things are short term." My friends in China who are also in banking and finance, I remember having conversation with them. They were telling me that they disagree with what I was doing, because from where they were seeing things, everything was good. I told them, hey, like, I'm selling my stock. Alibaba is gonna go all the way down, and because Chinese government was not done with them, and time proved I was right. Alibaba went to 170. Charlie Munger bought it, went to 120. Charlie Munger doubled down. For those of you who don't know who Charlie Munger is, he's a partner of Warren Buffett and chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. But he didn't buy the stock with Berkshire Hathaway. He bought the stock with his other company called Daily Journal. So it went down to 85, I think, intraday one time, maybe even the 70s. I don't remember. I remember it was in the 80s a couple of days ago. So when it went to 80s, the thought of rebuying Alibaba occurred for the first time since I had sold it. And the reason was because I felt that a lot of the fear from $100 to $80, I felt that fear from $300 to $100 was very reasonable. But from $100 to $80, the fear was unreasonable, because Putin was nationalizing a lot of Russian companies, and there was rumor that China was going to nationalize Alibaba, and it was, like, basically make Alibaba a nationally owned company and no more shareholders, no more stock market. It was kind of irrational. I have to say, it was kind of unreasonable. So I wanted to buy some Chinese companies. I felt that all the Chinese companies was getting crushed, and to a degree of unreasonability. Is that a word? Unreasonability. But I didn't want to buy Alibaba, because Alibaba still had that little lingering enemy of the state. This is Jack Ma's company. Who knows what is happening, right? Too big of a target, and China was clearly going after them at every turn. So I said, okay, I'm gonna buy other Chinese companies. So I bought JD.com. Long story short, JD is basically a same as Amazon on e-commerce side. They're very good at logistics. They're very good at delivery in China. It's basically an e-commerce site. And I bought Momo. So Momo, my understanding is Momo is Chinese Tinder. And I did a little bit research into Momo around November of 20, when it was falling pretty heavily. I was reading news that Momo was falling, so I did a little bit of research into the stock, and I realized it had incredibly strong financials. I had incredibly strong return on equity, return on investment. I had incredibly strong cash flow, cash position, very healthy balance sheet. So the stock entered into my head. It was always lingering at the back of my head. I wanted to buy it, and when it went to $4 that day, I pulled the trigger. I bought Momo. I also bought Bilibili. Long story short, Bilibili I bought in March 2020 at $24, and I sold it somewhere around the fall for $42. It got stuck around $42, so I ended up selling the stock. And literally within weeks of me selling the stock went to 150. And I had a little bit options on Bilibili. That was my position, because the time I sold my option because the time decay was killing my option value. So I sold it, and I calculated, had I not sold it, I made something like $20,000 on Bilibili the whole time, but from March until September. But if I didn't sell Bilibili, I would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's one of the things I look back and just like, man, God really want me to go to this day job, and I was so close to not being able to being able to not go to my day job anymore. But anyways, so that happened, out of my control. So I stopped basically looking at Bilibili stock, because it just made me so pissed, so angry every time I looked at their stock prices. And it went down. It went down to 90. I didn't want to buy it. Went down to 70. I didn't want to buy it. And the reason I never wanted to buy it was because the business fundamental had changed. And the reason I said the business fundamental had changed was because China was cracking down on data collection. China, along with Didi, which is Chinese Uber, they really cracked down on these tech companies collecting, users' data. Um, so what is good about a company that is YouTube like, if they cannot collect data on the viewer and accordingly send them as, run by machine learning, run by different algorithm that can drive high return on investment for the advertisers. So then it makes no sense. The business has no value. But ultimately it went to $18 that very day, on March 15th. I was like, I felt that, the probability was just getting too oversold. Even the short was to cover. I felt that the bounce was going to be insane. So I bought a little bit, $18, maybe 40 cents. I remember that day. So I bought 3 stocks, JD.com, Momo, and Bilibili. And however, there's a turn to the story. Right before the close, I was like, am I really comfortable holding 3 stocks in Chinese stocks? Because I have about 14 to 16 stocks at each given moment. And they're all equally weighted. They all basically have the same weighting. So I was like, I don't feel very comfortable holding 3 Chinese stocks. So I decided to sell Momo. So I sold Momo at basically a break-even price on that very day. I bought around $4.80, and I sold at $4.80. And I woke up, Momo, the next day, pre-market, was up 25%. JD was up 25%. Bilibili was up 25%. I don't know, I was like, what? Is something glitching with my Yahoo Finance? What the hell is happening? So I went online and I saw basically this article. I said this article is like China's Liu He assures business of support amid regulatory crackdown. So, this guy, Chinese vice president, he gave a speech. He was like, we're going to support the overseas IPO market. We're going to support our own equity market. We're going to support the stock market, make sure that, we're going to punish the short sellers in China. And the stock just blew the F up. And so I sold, and I was like, I felt happy, but I felt sad. I sold Momo. I was like, what if I didn't sell Momo? Oh my God. So I just want to show you a little bit of here. So I screenshotted my positions, at least the account. This is one of my 6 or 7 accounts, but this is my biggest trading account. So a lot of my accounts are for various purposes, for holding stuff long term or tactical allocation. But this account is my more actively trading accounts. And so on March 15th, the closing value was $276 US. And don't ignore this number in green. I have no idea why this $132,000. I don't put money in. I don't take money out. Rarely I take money out. But this is, I don't know what this number is. But that day I had $76,000 US, and the next day I had 307,000. And so it was kind of crazy. Basically 307 minus 261. So I made about $31,000. So on Friday close, so this is the end of the week, I made additional 16,000. So my account was at 323,000. So to close the week. And this is another account that I use to kind of trade stocks, to on a more frequent basis. And this is Canadian dollars, however. So this is the day that this is March 17th, the close of March 17th. I had about 154, and this number is accurate, I would say. So I was up 26,000 that day. So I made this Excel sheet to kind of keep track of my gains or losses. Just for this video purposes, not in general. So account number 1 is US dollars. I made $47,000, $46,892. the account went from 276 to 323,000, and account number 2 went from 128 to 147. I actually had a little bit of drawdown. It went to 154 and then actually went down to 147. So here I made about 19,000 Canadian, which is about 15,000 US. Here's about a little bit close to 47. So in total for the week, these two accounts, I made $61,890 in US dollars in profit. And it was definitely kind of a cool week. I was very happy, even though I would have been a lot happier if I didn't sell Momo. So this is it for this video. If you have any comments, any questions, please share in the comment section below, and I will see you next time.